You've just landed in your new country. You've got your suitcase and your map, and you don't have the foggiest clue where to go next. Or maybe you have a general idea, but have you ever felt out of place in your new country? Are you afraid that your brightly colored shirts might label you as a tourist, or that people might think that you're crazy? Do you feel like you'll never blend in with the locals? Are you separated from them by an invisible chasm? Are you wondering where to go next? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone. Landing in a new country is like opening a package of noodles, only to find that it is full of toaster pastries. You may feel disoriented from the jet lag, but after the tiredness wears off, you are still likely to feel out of place. Traffic may be on the wrong side of the road, you may not be able to drink the tap water, and the food may leave you feeling a little queasy. People might chuckle or just look confused when you try to speak. Like this urban pelican that has found its home against a backdrop of skyscrapers and urbanization, you too can begin to sound like a local, even if at first you feel like you don't fit in. Hello, my name is Leslie Woodford, and today I want to talk about how to sound like a local. I've been learning languages my whole life. I'm from the United States, and I love to converse with people in their native languages when I can. Whenever I go to a foreign country, I always try to learn the languages spoken there, even if it is just a few words. Over 40 years ago, my father worked as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Philippines. When he arrived, he discovered that his language training had been completely inadequate. They taught him Tagalog, but he needed to know waray. Later, as a Peace Corps director, he created walkabout language learning. I took his method on the road, using it to learn Swedish, Italian, and some Arabic. 4 years ago, I built www.yourlanguageguide.com to share walkabout language learning with other people interested in learning another language. For the last 4 years, I have been helping people just like you learn new languages. Today, I have several stories to share with you to give you the tools to start sounding like a local. But before I do that, I want you to ask yourself if you really want to sound like a local. Several years ago, there were 2 French women attending my church. Both were born and raised in France. One spoke English with a perfect American accent. In fact, I would have never guessed that she was a native French speaker. The other spoke English with a beautiful French accent. I loved listening to her. I would ask her questions just so that I could hear her respond with her French accent. Hello, my name is Jacqueline, but you can call me Jackie. I am French. She was a delight to listen to. Sounding like a local will certainly make it easier for people to understand you, but hanging on to just a touch of your native accent may be just the thing to win you friends. Your foreign accent may be what you need to engage people and make them want to speak with you more. Also, consider the relationship between your country and your host country when you make this decision. If people in your host country tend to discriminate against people from your own country, that is a good reason to want to try to drop your native accent. Okay, with that said, you've decided that you really do want to sound like a local. Let me share a couple of experiences where I thought I sounded like a local, but was dead wrong. My cousin and I went to Switzerland. I was only there for a few days. She was there to improve her French. She'd been studying it in college. We had just arrived in a small town and were looking for the metro to take us to a hostel. She went up to an elderly gentleman and asked him in French where el métro was. He looked at her strangely, so she repeated the question. Still, he didn't seem to understand. A group of women happened along at that point, and she repeated her question to them. They understood and interpreted for the man. Oh, el métro! To us, it sounded exactly like what she'd said, el métro. How do you sound like a local when you already think you sound like a local? My next story happened to me while I was living in Sweden. The word for book in Swedish is bok. It sounds and looks very similar to the English word. I'd been living there for a while and saying bok. Finally, one day, my host brother said, "The word is bok." "Yeah," I said, "bok." "No, bok." "Yeah, bok." "No, bok." Back and forth we went. I thought I was repeating him exactly. After a dozen tries, I realized that if I opened the inside of my mouth as if I had a large gumball in there, and said, "Book." He was satisfied. It's not just the sounds, but the way you hold your mouth, lips, and tongue. So, the first key to sounding like a local is accent. I didn't have time to stop and figure out what my cousin was saying wrong with the Swiss man, but my Swedish host brother was willing to practice with me and correct my American book pronunciation. He was my mentor. In Walkabout Language Learning, I show you where and how to find mentors who will practice with you until you can say the words and phrases like a local. The second key to sounding like a local is word choice. Let me tell you another story. I was waiting for the bus with a number of friends. One boy announced, "Vi ska dra oss," as the bus pulled up. Then he and his buddy boarded the bus and left. "Ah," I said to myself, "that must be another way of saying we're leaving now." At my next opportunity, I repeated the phrase, "Vi ska dra oss." Maria, my friend, shushed me up. "Don't say that," she said. "Why?" I wondered. She explained that it was a slang way to say it and wasn't particularly nice. Oh, so word choice is as important to sounding like a local as accent. Using Walkabout Language Learning, you will learn how to select a mentor who will create language learning dialogues that use the words that the locals use. I'll show you how to instruct your mentor not just to translate your words into your target language, but how to express yourself as a local would. Check out my Walkabout Language Learning Power Pack and get on your way to sounding like a local.